where the forest learned our names long before the valley was cursed. It was blessed. The people of Ash River had chosen that place because everything there lived in balance. Pines thick as pillars surrounded the basin. A wide black river cut through stone like a sleeping serpent. The soil was soft, the game plentiful. In spring, children ran barefoot through thawing grass, while elders told stories beneath longhouse beams darkened by generations of smoke. In summer, laughter carried far across the water. Hunters returned heavy with elk and moose. Women wove baskets and sang while scraping hides clean. They were not careless people. They respected the forest, and the forest had always respected them back, until it learned how to wear them. The good season had started with abundance. Too much of it. The deer grew thick. Moose wandered close to camp, unafraid. Wolves did not hunt near the valley anymore. It was as if something else had pushed them back. "It is a gift," the elders said. But the oldest among them, a woman named Sanny, said nothing. She had noticed the silence. Birds had stopped landing in certain trees. Squirrels abandoned the western ridge. And sometimes, at dusk, she felt watched in a way that did not feel alive. Not like predator watching prey, like someone studying a language. The first watching Tamak, strongest of the hunters, was the first to truly see it. He had tracked a bull moose with antlers wide as tree limbs. The animal's prints were deep and fresh. It had circled the valley for hours before standing at the tree line, waiting. When Tamak found it, the moose stood facing him. It did not chew. It did not blink. It did not breathe. Then slowly, it shifted its weight, not like an animal adjusting stance, but like a person remembering how joints work. Tamak raised his spear. The moose tilted its head. Too far. Bones beneath its skin made a soft grinding sound. Its lips pulled back, stretching wider than muscle should allow. The gums split at the corners. It showed teeth that did not belong inside a moose. Straight, flat, human. Then it stepped forward, on two legs, only for a second. But that was enough. Tamak ran. Behind him, hooves struck earth, but the rhythm kept changing. 4 beats, 2 beats, 4, 2, like something trying on different shapes mid-chase. When Tamak burst back into camp, he did not speak at first. He vomited, and somewhere in the trees behind him, something laughed in a voice too deep for lungs. The missing that night, dogs would not settle. They stared into darkness beyond the firelight, growling low in their throats. Near dawn, a child disappeared. Small footprints led toward the berry brush. Beside them were delicate deer tracks. The deer tracks overlapped the child's steps perfectly, like they had been placed on top. Hunters followed them deep into the woods until they noticed something wrong. The deer tracks walked in a straight line. No wandering, no grazing, and beneath each hoofprint, faint impressions of fingers pressed into soil. Long fingers. Digging, they found a scrap of cloth tangled in a bush. Wet, but not with blood, with something thicker, something that smelled like iron and rot. The voice practice on the third night, the howling began. At first, it sounded like wolves. Then it cracked, shifted, rose into something almost human. It tried syllables. Ali Chach and an N. Ma ayaye. Then clearly, from the darkness beyond firelight, Tamak. Every warrior leapt to their feet. The voice was perfect. It was Tamak's wife, calling him softly from the trees. But she stood right beside him, gripping his arm hard enough to bruise. Again, the voice came closer now. Tamak, come here. The trees moved. Not with wind, with weight. Then something stepped partially into firelight. A deer, its body thin, its ribs too visible, its eyes wet and human. Its mouth moved, and Tamak's own voice came from it. I found something. The deer smiled. Its jaw split at the sides, and a second jaw pushed through beneath it. The first skin they attacked. Spears flew. Arrows cut the air. The deer's body jerked violently as blades pierced hide. It fell. For a moment there was silence. Then the hide twitched. It split open from throat to belly with a wet tearing sound. Something inside unfolded itself slowly, like someone climbing out of tight clothing. Arms too long. Spine bent wrong. Ribs showing through pale flesh stretched too thin over bone. Its face was unfinished, features sliding slightly, as if undecided. It reached back calmly and peeled the deer's skin off its shoulders, carefully folding it. Then it ran into the dark. Behind them, something else moved. Another deer stepped forward, then another, then a moose, then a wolf. Every set of eyes fixed on the camp. Watching, learning. The breaking people began to vanish each night. Not taken in screams, taken quietly. A woman stepped outside to relieve herself and never returned. An elder walked toward the river at dawn and did not come back. But sometimes, they did come back, standing just beyond the trees, smiling, their bodies intact, but too still. When loved ones ran to them, the returned would tilt their heads and speak in a voice half a breath too late, as if repeating, as if mimicking. When touched, their skin felt loose, like it didn't quite fit. The camp burned 2 of them when one split open mid-embrace, and something else crawled free. After that, no one trusted anyone who left firelight. Paranoia spread faster than death. Tamak refused to let his people crumble. He ordered fires built high around the perimeter. He coated arrowheads in pitch and resin. He told warriors to strike for joints, for eyes, for spine. When the forest went silent on the 7th night, he knew it was coming. It came in numbers. Moose crashed from tree line. Wolves loped low and silent. Deer stood like sentries. Then they all froze at once. Every head turned toward Tamak, as if he had been chosen. One wolf stepped forward. Its body rippled. Fur split. Skin peeled. Beneath it stood a shape taller than any man, shoulders narrow, limbs too long, fingers tipped in blackened bone. Its face shifted slowly until it became Tamak's own. Perfect. It smiled with his mouth. It spoke in his voice. You fight well. Tamak roared and charged. His spear struck deep into its chest. The thing convulsed. Black fluid spilled, smoking where it hit earth. It did not scream. It laughed, and behind it, dozens more began shedding their skins. The valley filled with tearing sounds. Wet, constant, like meat being stripped from bone. Tamak fought like a storm. He burned 3 of them alive. He crushed skulls that reformed beneath his grip. He tore antlers free and used them as weapons. But every time one fell, another wore its shape. Sometimes his wife's face lunged at him. Sometimes the child who had gone missing reached out with hands that bent backward. The creatures did not rush him. They circled. They toyed. They mimicked his own battle cries. They copied his stance, until one finally got behind him. Long fingers slid beneath his ribs, lifted him effortlessly. The one wearing his face leaned close and whispered in his ear, "You taught us well." They pulled him apart slowly, not to eat, to study. The end of Ash River by dawn, the camp was silent. Bodies lay open, not torn wildly, but opened carefully, like garments removed. Skins hung from branches, drying. The creatures walked among the ruins, trying faces on and off, practicing, learning smiles, learning tears. One stood at the riverbank wearing Sanny's form. It watched its reflection and adjusted its expression, perfecting grief. Then it turned toward the forest. and walked upright. Behind it, deer grazed peacefully. Moose moved lazily between trees. Wolves howled normally. The valley looked alive again, full of balance, full of life. Only now, the life inside it knew how to speak. And somewhere far beyond those trees, another camp laughed around a fire, unaware that the forest had begun listening.